So it's been a while since I've made a cosplay cartographer video, but the explanation is pretty valid as to why it's taken me so long to get to this point. And that's just because I'm fucking lazy. And I suck at tackling my backlog. That's literally the only reason. I can't blame the move. I've been here for about a month now. So yeah, it's just I'm lazy. And I suck at staying on top of my backlog. But I have dedicated myself to finishing this episode of Cosplay Cartographer. And it has been... well... you'll see. Welcome to Cosplay Cartographer episode 5. Colt, shut up. You're ruining my monologue. Alright, so here is part 1, just starting on the print bed, and pretty much smooth sailing for the entirety of this part. Outside of one hiccup I will explain. This was just the beginning of my mental torture, so have fun with this amazing journey we're about to embark on. Alright, now you're looking at a little bit further into that print. Still looking alright, not really anything to complain about. The infill looks great, the supports look great. Alright, still a little bit more progress, moving up there in the world, finally getting somewhere, just more infill. And we got Puppy! Yeah, we got Puppy. Puppy wanted to ambush. Zeke is the goodest of boys, and we love him. And this is where the problem begins, my friends. Do any of you see the problem here? The dreaded layer shift, my arch nemesis, whatever the proper English term for that is. But yes, so this is part 2. Didn't really have any major issues with part 2 outside of the wings just constantly breaking, so that was great. Alright, a little bit farther into the progress into part 2. We're just looking at a little bit more infill going on. No layer shifts happened here. Cole, please shut the fuck up. And now we've got our completed part 2. So yeah, nothing really apparently wrong with this. It actually came out really great. I was printing at 0.1 if you're curious. 0.4 line width, I believe, is the proper terminology. And yeah, everything came out really great. And I guess off to part 3. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 3. So you might be wondering why there's just 1 instead of 2. It's because these were the problem childs I just kept having fails on. So yeah, I went ahead and learned how to splice the files, individual Cura STL files, because printing them together was taking too long, and if one layer shift occurred, it affected both pieces. So at least some good came out of this. I was able to relearn how to do it. Just one last look at the new piece. Oh
god, I'm never gonna make it because he's still there! Go away! He's still there!
This particular one didn't have a layer shift, so all is well that ends well. Alright, welcome to part 4. This was a super easy one to print, just a whole bunch of little miscellaneous pieces to handle and a few other building blocks that I used to super glue some pieces together. Came out really nice, no issues here. I mean, it was annoying the sand, but you'll see that later on. It was very flimsy, especially towards the bottom. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the culmination of the prints. So these were all the finished pieces at the time of me just printing. I like to do things one step at a time, printing, then sanding, and so on and so forth. So these were all the pieces completed in their entirety. Again, yes, there was a layer shift. I was able to sand that out and make it look pretty decent. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the dawn of one of my least favorite parts of 3D printing. Sanding. And yes, I'm not sanding, I'm just priming it so I can sand it. So like I said, it's a dawn precursor of this. As you can tell, it's really bright, which is why I'm squinting. Someone broke into my car the other day and stole my sunglasses, which means that every single pair of sunglasses I've ever owned has been stolen. Story time for another day. Also, it's especially bright because there's a damn solar eclipse going on right above me, so don't look at the sun no matter how tempting it is. Oh god, it looks so cool though. I also don't like priming and spraying with this Rust-Oleum, same thing as last time, that 2-in-1 primer, because it makes me want to die, because that stuff is not good for you. So I went ahead and got a respirator, and it came with these goggles, so it's going to be really nice not to die and not to go blind. Probably more so not in the die part, but going blind would suck too. It was relatively inexpensive. I'll have a link down to in the description. Not sponsored or anything. I was just recommended this by PapaBear because those N95 masks do not cut it, as I learned the hard way. It's also kind of ironic. I'm balancing my phone on my telescope and there's a solar eclipse going on, so yay me. And I can't look at the solar eclipse, so yay irony. Alright, let's get started. All right, everybody, those are the successfully primed parts. I apologize for the jankiness of the camera work while I was spraying, but I really wanted to show you guys how much I spray. A lot of these prints, although everything was printed at a 0.1 layer height using PLA, there were some spots that just came out a little wonky, but not bad enough to where I needed to reprint. So I just threw on some extra filler primer there and I'll have to make sure that I sand those pieces really well. But overall, it doesn't need to be perfect, just enough. For example, you can kind of see little gaps right there. Yeah, right there. It's a good example of where I try to spray a little extra. But also that little piece right there is a support. It's meant to come out, but I'm lazy right now and I'll take it out later. It's not super important to to sand that right now, but it will be just to get a flush measurement once we do eventually assemble this. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wait 24 hours, then start sanding. All right, everyone, today is sanding day, and I realized as soon as I was done spraying filler primer on everything, these guys were sitting upstairs just staring at me, unsprayed. I completely forgot about the poor bird ends. And if you don't know what I mean by burned end, oh, you'll find out and you will never be able to unsee it. But we're gonna go ahead and do our first pass of 120 grit. And instead of following up with the 320 or whatever option there was last time, I'm gonna try a little bit different method to see how it comes out. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand all this. And I already kind of showed how I did it in my last Cosplay Cartographer sanding portion when I did Sunshot. So I'm just gonna skip to where it's all sanded. I doubt you guys care about me just going like, oh yeah. So we have a lot of moving parts. Originally, what I would have done is taken this and sprayed. This is that 2-in-1 filler primer. Would have sprayed all this again and then gotten 320 grit and just went ahead and would have done another pass on this. But I found another method on how to smooth out a 3D print, and smoothing is the key here because this is a plasma rifle, and plasma rifles, especially in Halo Combat Evolved, they're very shiny, they're very smooth when you're not adding that hexagonal pattern, which we're not, because of the type of plasma rifle it is. So what we are going to be using today is we are going to be sanding with that 320 grit sandpaper. We're going to be using acetone and plastic wood stuff. And it's actually a 2-in-1 ratio. What that means, I don't fucking know. Yeah, we're just going to eyeball it.
Obviously, this particular comment didn't age too well.
All right, so welcome to Walter White's chemical lab of bullshit. So the ratio... Oh, I should probably take the cap off. All right, so the ratio is a nice solid 2-to-1, 2 being the wood, primer, filler, plastic, BS. I'm not sure what this is, to be honest. Now we are going to add acetone. All right, now we're just gonna mix this. So it's gonna have this really watery consistency, which I'm not a fan of. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more wood filler and show you what that's like. Again, the ratio here is 2-to-1. So in layman's terms, you want twice as much wood filler as you do acetone. I think this is a good consistency right here. It's kind of like milky and dripping off the sides like that. We're gonna start with the smaller pieces. So I do believe I got a good coating on pretty much all the pieces except these, because again, these just go in here and get super glued to hold these things together, so they don't need to be sanded. I don't want to waste my time and energy on that. So nice little coat. Again, didn't put really much on here, just pieces that get glued together, kind of self-explanatory. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I'm gonna let it sit for probably 24 hours, even though I definitely don't need to. And then I'll hit it with the 320 grit, or actually I'll do the 120 and then go back to 320. I'll spray it again with some primer, and then I think we'll be good to paint. These are all of the sanded parts. I went ahead and blew it all off with the little blow dryer I got here for like 30 bucks. Obviously not super perfect. You can kind of see some layer lines right around here, but that's okay because I'm still doing another pass through. My fingers hurt. Everything hurts as part of the sanding, but overall doesn't look too bad. You can see the layer lines if you like tilt it in the sunlight, but if it's pretty dark, they're very unnoticeable, which again is fine. I'm not done sanding, just done with the first pass through, and it does look significantly better than it did earlier, especially with around the edges that I went ahead and trimmed up, which was very nice. And most of the parts, like on the tops or the bottom layers, they're going to be glued together, so you're not going to be able to see all those imperfections. So yeah, I will see you guys when I do my second pass through. All right, everybody, it's been a few days, so we're gonna go ahead and tackle the second sanding pass. We're gonna go ahead and use a finishing 320 grit. You can see it right there. We are there. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and do a pass on all of this, and we're going to go ahead and spray it down with some automotive primer to get ready for the third and final pass. I want to see how the layer lines come out because of how large these surfaces. I really don't want the layer lines to be visible. So I'm going to go ahead and see where we're at by the time this pass is done, and I'll see y'all on the other side. It's been a few days now, and I went ahead and sprayed it with this automotive primer from Rust-Oleum. Don't have it confused with this stuff, which I used for my first pass. This is for my third pass. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is I decided to use the 120 grit, just completely take as much off as I can, then go over it for final details with smoother 400 grit, just to get that nice finish. And these little pieces over here, I'm not too worried about spraying with them since they're just, inserts. But I will be sanding them just to get them a little bit more smoother with the 400, just so everything's more consistent in the surface finish. I feel like my lisp really came out at that last sentence right there. So our goal here is to eliminate as much of the layer lines as possible. It's gonna be hard to see with the camera, but I will see you all once this is all sanded. Ow. So I'm done sanding. I went ahead and just did a pass of the 400 grit sandpaper on these because the lower 120 grit sandpaper was literally just tearing off the finish, the primer, rather than actually sanding it into those valleys and creating a seamless transition between the valleys and mountains. So I went ahead and just did a whole pass on everything on that 400. I'm gonna go ahead and wait until next time to actually start gluing these pieces together to get towards the final assembly, and then go ahead and throw on the first black coat of paint. So very excited that the annoying part is done, and my thumb is now destroyed because I was standing and the gloves tore, and yeah, it was a great time. Also, unfortunate side note, wings, no wings.
This effort is no longer profitable.
So this actually did break while I was sanding it. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, so I want to go ahead and sand these pieces individually because I don't think I need to reprint this whole piece. So what I'm going to do is sand these, super glue each piece together, and then use Bondo to get rid of those seams rather than reprinting, resanding, and all that BS. So let's jump in. Okay, it took a long time. My thumb got messed up. It kind of hurts not focusing, but we did have an unfortunate catastrophic failure with the wings on this portion of the plasma rifle. Zeke, it was all your fault because you look so cute, so I just got distracted. I have the pieces right here, so I'm going to order some super glue and super glue accelerant so I can glue these back on. I don't think it's so bad to where I have to restart this print. Everything else has been sanded. It feels super smooth. The layer lines are still a bit visible, but I don't think they're visible to a point. I can't tell if they're scratches or if they're layer lines at this point, which is probably a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead, next step, super glue this, so it's going to be a day or two so while I wait for the stuff to arrive. Once I super glue that, I'm going to let it sit for about 24 hours. Then go ahead and put a high grit of sand, go over that again with the primer, and then start painting. So just a little intermission. Currently about to vacuum and clean, but I went ahead and glued these pieces together, and they are really sturdy, but I went ahead and just put Bondo over the seam, so we're gonna go ahead and sand that. Thought I was done with sanding, but forgot I had to do all the Bondo. So technically we're not done with sanding, but we're done with the smoothing and details because you can't even see any layer lines at all. It's awesome. It's so smooth. It's hard to tell from this perspective, but I promise you, it's awesome. And I'm excited to show you guys when it's all put together. All right, everybody, so the 3 assemblies have been glued, and I went ahead and put some Bondo on the seams, so it's all drying right now. Super excited with how it's coming out. It looks so damn big and good, and yeah, you can see quite a bit of layer lines right here. I accidentally sanded over this a little bit too much. I was trying to polish something, and my OCD kicked in, and then look what was the outcome of that. So tomorrow I'm gonna go ahead and just sand all the Bondo down, and that should be, hopefully, question mark, my last time sanding. I gotta worry about this. This thing keeps breaking, so that's gonna be another thing I'm worried about. But I'll see you guys once this is all sanded down and keep you updated. All right, y'all, so the sanding is done, and she is smooth. So today begins the fun part. We're gonna do our initial black layer. So I already went ahead, did the finishing polish on it, sanded the Bondo down. That's just fucked. And I don't feel like reprinting it, so it's just gonna stay fucked and I'm not unfucking the fuckery, so it's perma-fucked. So yeah, that's gonna stay there. We're gonna go ahead and worry about that later. I'm gonna go ahead and get the black layer on. This came out sexy as hell. It's very smooth. I'm enjoying the finish quality on it, and I will see you all once it has the initial black layer on. All right, everybody, so the plasma rifle has its initial coat of paint on it. Super excited. It doesn't need to be perfect because I'm just gonna paint over it again. But yeah, it's coming together really nicely, and it looks so good. You can't see any of the seams, which I'm very, very happy about. It looks extremely seamless, which is great. The only thing I'm a bit bummed again are these wings, but yeah, fuck that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start actually applying the first coat of paint. I bought paint today. I will show you guys that in the next section, and see y'all there. All right, everybody, welcome to paint day numero dos. So we are missing 2 colors. We are missing a red and like a teal to get these, you know, very subtle detail, like those red markings right there and the lights underneath it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just focus on that purplish blue color along the top and bottom portions of the plasma rifle. So I'm using a Craft Smart metallic finish blue and a metallic finish purple. Gonna kind of see what I'm gonna be able to produce out of those 2 colors being mixed. And then this is gonna be a lot more grays and like a satin look. As you can see right there on the handle, there's like a 2-tone gray right there. So I have multiple grays to play with, and I got some more in this bag right here. But these are like the matte finishes and metallics. So I'm gonna try and play around and see what I like more. And the cool thing about acrylic paint is that you can just paint right over it. So let's get started. Here it is, the first 2 passes of paint, and it looks so damn good. Okay, so I got this really nice plasma rifle color, again, by combining that blue and that purple, and this is still wet and drying, so it looks really sloppy right now, but that's actually a glow in the dark, like light blue, so that should be able to shine. I applied it on the sides right there, as well as those beads, or whatever you want to call them. So next, I already masked this off. It's done. Just waiting for that to dry, and I'm actually going to go ahead and weather these pieces and then do the final assembly. So we're like right at the finish line. All right, y'all, there she is, the finished plasma rifle. I am not happy with this at all. This is just a temporary solution until I can get like a Cricut and actually print out stickers. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's it's just like a really rough prototype for this plasma rifle. There's some things about this file I wasn't too happy with, like how it didn't come with the hexes and this built-in design. That's gonna be another thing I'm gonna have to work around. But all this is glow in the dark. It looks derpy, but in the dark it actually looks pretty nice. I already tested it, so I'm very happy with how this turned out. Don't mind my box of cosplay stuff. But yeah, that is the finished plasma rifle. Well, prototype. I'm gonna make another one that's way better. Sorry about that. But I think it came out pretty nice. Got those scratches in there. It's pretty durable, and it's a monster. So very happy with this, and I will keep you all updated. There's still one more section I'd like to film. All right, so that does bring us back to the present, and without further ado, your final look at my plasma rifle bit. What if that's English hard? Jesus Christ. Your first look at the final look of my plasma rifle. Well, half of it, because I broke it. That's why I didn't even bother to do anything like special here. But yeah, this is the plasma rifle. Woo! And here is the second half. So ideally, I did use it at a con. There might be some photos out there, but it's supposed to be like this, you know? Just very, very nice plasma rifle. 2 birds kissing, you know, making out, all that good stuff. You know, if you're a Halo fan, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is 2 halves of a whole of my plasma rifle. And the story of how that happened, well, the tale as old as time. So yeah, that's Cosplay Cartographer episode 5, question mark. Not a very successful episode. I did want to give you all a little brief update on what's been going on, and I do have, oh, wrong side. That oh, shit, how do I, everything's mirrored. Hold on, I'll get there eventually. There we go, is going to be a part of Cosplay Cartographer episode 6. So I'm very excited to share what that is. Wrong side again. What that is behind me. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching Cosplay Cartographer episode 6, and I will see you all in the next one.
Subscribe to Zang Heroes for some more unfreaking